How's everybody doing tonight? I'll wait for a response. I don't hear anything. So, this evening I'm just relaxing with a cup of black tea and a bowl of weed. And I had a thought about something that I wanted to share on video that may come as a big surprise to people. So check it out. My question is, what's important to you? What's important to you as a person? So I want to be more specific here. I've posed this question before and never really get any answers. You know, it's a very vague thing. The real question that I'm asking is, what are we supposed to be doing right now with our lives? What are we supposed to be doing in the sense of a culture? Or what are we supposed to be doing in the sense of nature? Or what are we supposed to be doing in the sense of spirit? Or free will? Or determinism? Or any of these different views on life, that so many people have so many different types of views, and it's exhausting sometimes because you get into conversations with people, and if they're not on the same level, the conversation gets steered to a different place. And I can explain this better. This is actually kind of important. I've noticed that sometimes when I talk to people about certain things, if they're not on the same page as me, it's very rare that someone will say, "Whoa, hey, look, I haven't looked into that. I'm not sure what you're talking about." It's usually they stare to something they do know, and then it gets off the subject. This also happens in, personal discussions, family, friends. Nobody ever wants to admit they're wrong, and I don't mean wrong. I just mean that, if it's not something that people can comprehend, if they're not on the same level, especially, they'll steer to something else. There are a lot of things that are beyond me, and when I watch or listen to certain philosophy lectures, let's say, some of the stuff they say is just beyond me, because I'd have to know the course. I'd have to have studied that and taken, but I get a majority of it, and over time I pick it up. It's just that kind of like listening to a language long enough, you pick up words. I learned a majority of what I know probably out of high school, but I was always an ace at spelling tests, and I knew language pretty well, so I could figure things out. I like etymology, the study of the root of words, and where they come from, the meaning of words. And I pick apart every word in my own mind. A lot of them have meaning. All of them have meaning in one way or another, but... So anyway, what's important to you? But what's important most of all is what is the overall thing that we should be doing as individuals and as a species. So, let me give you a couple examples. A religious person will instantly have the answer to that. They will say, we're supposed to, praise Jesus, or worship Muhammad, or go to the Wailing Wall. Whatever. They have a system. I'm talking about the realistic view that things are more complicated than religion. I mean, I've moved past trying to defend myself against religion. It's pointless. I sometimes have conversations with people about it, but in the end, I don't waste as much. Sometimes I waste too much breath, but we're talking religion out the door. It doesn't make sense. Say Bill Donahue talks better, closer translations about the Bible to the brain and all those different types of things. But all of these different questions that are being answered by different people, it's not about who's right or wrong. It's about what are we really supposed to be doing. So what is the average person who's not religious, who maybe is a spiritual type person, or even a non-spiritual person, what are we supposed to be doing? And I think an atheist, which is why I don't include atheists in this, because I think most atheists would probably say it doesn't matter. And I guess that's, I mean, I don't know if that's true or not. I could be totally wrong. I'm sure there are some atheists who think there is a purpose or a reason, but a true deep atheist who doesn't believe in any type of creator, God, anything, who, you know, believes in nothing but evolution and everything's chance, that type of atheist, because I know there are many different types, would be most likely to believe that it's all about survival of the fittest, but they would also understand that you need to get along with your culture. So atheists are not bad people. See, Christians judge atheists saying, well, if you don't have God, you don't have moral character. And that's not true at all. I know a lot of atheists who have way more moral character than some Christians, because they understand that it's not about moral values of a fear of God. It's about moral values out of respect for your culture and your species, which I think is the most important thing. And I really admire that in a person when they can do things for the greater good. But just as much, there are some selfish ones who use, who use the atheism as an excuse to just kind of say, well, fuck it, we're all here. I'm just going to take what I can get while I'm here. Who dies with the most toys wins. So, all of them excluded, all the people who don't think life's important, all the people who think that life is just chance and nothing else, excluded. I'm talking to the rest of the people who believe that there may be a greater consciousness, a most high, a higher being, a God, if you will. That word's so tainted. So, I have high reverence for the idea of a God, and I very much respect people who can have faith in something, but at the same time, I don't understand how a person could have faith not based on reason, which is why I try to learn as much as I can to find the answers, and I still can't find out what I'm supposed to be doing. Now, this is a question that goes back a long way. I mean, for everyone, for every culture, you know. And if any particular belief system were really to work, if God were to favor certain peoples, if there were to be one system that had worked well, then so many empires wouldn't have fallen over history like they have over and over. And it's funny because I think the modern day view is that the Roman Empire just was kind of there and then they were gone, and the Greeks were just kind of there for a while and then gone, but that we've endured and we have technology and that we're going to make it. We're so much more fragile than they ever could have been. Everything we have depends on technology now. People don't even have a clue as to how screwed we would be with a major solar flare or CME eruption that was Earth-facing, that just took out the fucking grid and just nailed us to the ground. People say it may take years to repair something like that. That means we'd never recover. So, what I'm saying is that, well, I'm trying to say too much at once, I guess. These cultures in the past have really risen and fallen over long periods of time. Like I like to use the reference of from when Cleopatra reigned till now is longer than from the time, or shorter than from the time when the pyramids were built, or the beginning of the Egyptian Empire to Cleopatra. So the time from the beginning of the Egyptian Empire to Cleopatra is longer than the time between her and us. Which, you know, you look back and you think, here's Egypt, and then here's the time since. Most people see it that way. We have these visual acuities, visual peculiarities, the way we see things. And we see them based on what we already know, formulas that we've created in our head. seriously, this is like major important. I kind of feel like a dumbass even saying it, but we create formulas in our heads and develop these beliefs based on geometric patterns of ideas. Everything's a pattern, So we have these patterns of ideas, these interlocking theories that we base on what we think we know, and it's amazing to watch the metamorphosis of an idea and how a person will convince themselves so strongly that they believe something and they know it's true. So back to the question anyway. What's life purpose? That's the big question. What is it that we're supposed to do? So the atheist, let's say some atheists may say, well, we're just here to help one another to coexist so we can perpetuate our species. That's true. That's a great point, and that's pretty well put. But at the same time, I don't understand why we would need to perpetuate a species. What's the purpose of that? That's something I'll get back into later. But beyond that, what should we be doing in our day-to-day life? So are we supposed to be working, financial careers, trying to make more money? So the materialist may say yes. So for the spiritualist, what is it? Are we supposed to get ourselves to an ascended level? Now this is a big one. People say this all the time. We need to ascend. We need to get to another level. It's like, really? I mean, I think that'd be great if we could actually do these things. Say, activate our pineal gland, activate our chakras, decalcify our pineal gland, go through these oral detoxes, and have our bars cleansed, and all this stuff. I'm not saying it's bogus, but most of it is bogus. And it's not that the people are liars, or shills, or fools, or it's that they've convinced themselves that what they think they know is true, to the extent where a person may have a sensitivity to a particular psychic ability, let's say, and they haven't quite figured out how to use it properly, but a few times they've gotten lucky, and then they start to kind of guess and develop the patterns in their mind of what they think each thing means, and they might make a mistake. Like I think it was Sylvia Brown, that renowned psychic. She's such a dumb, I can't stand her. She kept telling this lady her daughter was dead. She's like, your daughter's dead, you better get over it, on some show or something. And then they found the girl. She was still alive. And it's like, it's things like that. It's one mistake, In other words, the power of psychic abilities is real, but it's like a child trying to, build a house. You have to understand the concepts, and it takes years to build that ability. And the true psychics don't. They're not out there advertising in fancy hats. I mean, they're the ones that can harness it, keep to themselves mostly, and help people when they really need it. And I would hope so, because that's awesome. Like the shaman. That's kind of like a shamanistic approach to helping people. So, on that note, the New Age movement says that perhaps our idea is to ascend, or to get to another level of awareness, and that's done through perhaps meditation, crystals, yoga, many different practices. Then there's the philosopher's approach, which says that knowledge is the key to everything. Philosophia, we need to figure out why we're here by knowing what it is to be here. And to learn about ourselves, first and foremost. To know who we are, and really understand ourselves. Look ourselves in the eye and say, I am so-and-so. And I love myself, and I love the world, and I want to look at things differently, and I want to change. I want to be a more aware person. And people try too hard. They try too hard to be aware all the time. They hear these people talk all this guru bullshit, and they get sucked into it, just like a religion. Some people abandon religion with such fervor that they become obsessed with either bashing religion, or they get way into some other New Age idea by saying, oh my God, I was wrong, so this is what it really means. Like, still attaching themselves to a belief. And if that works for a person, that's fine. But what it means to me is that I believe that philosophy is the idea that we need to understand why we're here and what we're supposed to be doing. Because our time, I'm not going to say our time is short here, and I'm not going to say it's long, because neither one of those makes sense. Because it's relative to what short and long really are. Compared to a fruit fly, our lives are endless. You know, and compared to an old oak tree, we're just nothing. So, think about it. Think about why you're really here, and what you should be doing. I mean, it's a question that, you know, you might say, of course I've asked myself that, but I ask myself it over and over, and I keep coming up with different answers. And I never know. I don't know. I don't know. I'll tell you what I do know, is that every time I ask this question, if I ask it out loud, I'm bound to get other people's interpretations, and that's what I'm welcoming. But it's funny how you see people push stuff on one another because their belief is better, or this is the system that's worked for me. And in the past, I've tried to give people advice about things, and I don't do that anymore, because I have a belief that I can only tell a person to find their own path, and it's none of my business, and I don't know if I know any better than the next person. So we're all just peeps. We're all in this together, and I don't know. Sit back for a second. Take a break. Guess I should just end the video now. You can just turn it off anytime now. Probably already did. It's funny, you can watch analytics and see if people like... I've looked at it like once or twice, not in a long time, but see how much of your videos are viewed and how long the average duration is. You know, mine are way short. It's because a lot of people click on my shit, they're like, holy shit, 20 minutes? This guy's going to sit here and talk for 20 minutes. By the way, it's been 1 year since the end of the world. I'll do this as part 2 of the video. Why not? It's the solstice, 2013. December 21st, 2012 was supposed to be the end of the world. The Mayan calendar, all this shit about comets and asteroids and polar shifts. Well, let me tell you something. When I was like 16, I was about 18. I got really into the whole conspiracy thing. I was very into... I read a book called Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper, or Bill Cooper, as people know him. He was actually... Alex Jones, that douchebag, actually like kind of stole... I think he like stole Bill Cooper's story or something, and that's what kind of like launched Alex. But Cooper had some wild theories about the government making deal with aliens, and he was ex-CIA, and he supposedly exposed all this shit. And he claimed his life was in danger, and in the end he was shot dead in front of his home. It's a big controversy. So, I got into this stuff. And back then, that's when I learned about the Mayan calendar and all these different random things, you know, and from that day, I planned a party for December 21st, 2012. I'd had a plan for like 20 years or something. And I just didn't give a shit by the time it came. The thing was, I've heard a lot of folks say in the last few years, coming up to that date, that it's going to be like so many different things. I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about, so I don't even need to go into the details about what people were saying were going to happen, because everybody had a theory. But the fact was, nothing happened. So now, everybody just shut their mouths. It went on for about 6 to 7 months. Nobody said a damn word. Like, but then people started slowly creeping in. The ones, the doomsayers, the prophets, the ones that were wrong. They started coming back in and saying, "So, what happened during 2012? Did you feel it? Oh, were you one of the ones who were awakened?" Now, let me tell you something. I hear this all the fucking time, and it's driving me nuts. And no offense to anybody. I don't mean... some of my friends, I say awake. I use that term all the time. A lot of my friends do. It's not a big deal. But the ones who say, like, that use it as if they're awake and nobody else is, and they can't explain what it is that they're awake about, okay? There's some people who claim to be awake over spiritual means. Some people, it's a political thing. They realize what the government's been doing to them. They consider that being awake. Some people consider being awake, being aware of Jesus as being the answer. So when you just say people are waking up, it has no more effect as sheeple used to. Thank God that one's going away. I hope. And we need to get back to the respect factor. That we're all just people, okay? And this whole end of the world thing has been going on forever. There's only one difference between now and any other time. We are fucked with nuclear power right now. If we don't maintain this and figure out a way to do something about it, anything can happen. But you know what? Everything is based on photons, light, energy, particles, waves, particles. Basically everything is particles. We don't even know what a particle is, okay? And all these things are basically speculated about. We don't understand how things work and how atoms work, but we know that certain combinations can have very, very strong implications on helping with nuclear. Say we could take nuclear waste and add it to a certain liquid and it would completely neutralize the radiation. In the future, we might not just be having free energy, but we might be able to actually diffuse all of our nuclear waste. So don't give up on it yet. You know what I'm saying? I mean, don't give up on humanity like we're totally screwed and we don't have a chance. That's what bums me out. Those are the defeatists. The ones who are always saying, tomorrow it's the end of the world. Look, here come the signs. Oh, the signs are coming. Thy signs are coming. Fucking douchebags. So I'm on a wave, I've been at this tolerant stage for a really long time where I'm just like, it's cool, let them do their thing. And nowadays I'm just like, get them the fuck out of here. People who don't do any news of their own. Whatever. It is what it is. People are just going to do their thing. And life goes on. So I hope everybody has a great night. And I better head out. Peace and love.